passionate about Cleveland sports.
He's going in! Touchdown!
Browns, Indians, Cavs, the Big Ten, and more.
Cleveland is a city of champions once again!
Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond.
A swing and a drive! To deep right!
Here are your hosts, Andy Billman and Jarid Watson.
And we're live on Facebook and Twitter. Hello and welcome, Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jarid Watson, and this podcast is brought to you by Waiting for Next Year. Check them out, original Cleveland sports reporting at waitingfornextyear.com. Hey, Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to 2020, Browns fans. The spirit of change has hit Berea once again after a predictable loss to the Bengals in Cincinnati. Browns' Freddie Kitchens was fired on Sunday. And then less than 48 hours after canceling a press conference, John Dorsey mutually parted ways as the rise of analytics is back in Berea. Paul DePodesta, remember him? He's leading the search committee to find a head coach along with Chris Cooper, J.W. Johnson, of course, Haslem's son-in-law, and of course the Haslems who will be making the final call. After the head coach is hired, this makes sense. Then the GM is going to be selected next. All while, so basically the coach gets to pick his boss. Well, help at least. All the while, somewhere in a cubicle, Elliot Wolf is still employed as the assistant GM. That's still strange. All of that and more to discuss as it is a very football-heavy show, and we will discuss the Buckeyes' loss as well, as much as that burns me. But first, get your abacus and data sheets ready. Oh, God. Yeah, Jimmy said the word data in that presser yesterday.
He loves the word data.
yeah, we'll get into more of this. Going on year 21 since 1999, and now searching for the 12th head coach and 10th GM. It's your analytics-driven 6-10 Cleveland Browns.
Happy New Year, everyone. And this is, when last time we talked, I think we'll go from an order here for my opening thoughts. The big thing here is Freddie Kitchens is gone. That needed to happen. Freddie is a very nice man.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. My heart really sank when I heard about him crying on the phone to a reporter. I don't like to hear that stuff.
Okay, I didn't know that, and that's terrible. That's news to me. I didn't know that there were tears, although I can understand it.
I want to say it was Rappaport. I think it was Rappaport was the one who reported that, and that breaks my heart. Freddie's a good man. He was not a good coach. And I'm glad he's getting paid healthily. And if he ever wanted to get a beer or coffee, I'd be the first one to sit beside him and talk.
I'd love to talk to him about it all.
Yeah, as I say, it does. The big thing here is because someone has to go doesn't mean they're good people. He's a good person. It just did not end well for him. And, he got the rug pulled out underneath him, which has happened to a lot of Browns coaches. And he's another one. What was shocking, what we didn't want to have happen was Dorsey's gone. And you could kind of feel the momentum building. And I felt it immediately when his press release was one sentence. When I see something like that and it's really brief and to the point, it kind of touched upon me what was going on. And then you hear the DePodesta rumors, and here we are. The big thing that I want to take out of this, though, Dorsey did something that I understand why he did it, but it wasn't the right move.
Correct.
He wanted to keep Kitchens around because he was losing power in the building. And he was trying to save his job, and he was trying to save football personnel from taking over. So it's, again, a fracture not only on the field, it's fractured in the building. What a surprise, when fractured forever. So it fractured again.
Well, we wondered how this was going to work to begin with. You could hear the rumblings from the very beginning of things between DePodesta and John Dorsey. And we thought that Dorsey had the power. But throughout the season, it seems like there might be things that point to otherwise, and we'll get into those things too.
Yeah, exactly. I think DePodesta had more of a hand. One example real quickly is Jannard Avery trade. But anyways, the big thing here, though, is, and this is where Dorsey, they say mutually part ways, but he's gone, fired, whatever you want to use the term. The reason why it didn't work out with Dorsey, though, is he did what's best for him, and I understand it, but he didn't do what's best for the team. If I would have coached Dorsey, I'd be like, even though this is very hard to understand, and you got to get rid of Kitchens to get someone new to help the team. And my bigger point here is the Browns don't work together collectively on the field or off the field to bring a good product on the field. And that's why we're here again. I understand.
We'll go further than Jarvis Landry's comments about not knowing what leadership was going for while they were on the field.
Leadership.
The opportunities that were there, but the team didn't have direction and know where they were going.
It does. And to my last point here, and you alluded to it. Analytics drove this season more than what we thought, and I think it explains why we weren't 10-6 with 6-10. Because there's a lot of inner fighting. I think it explains Hollywood Higgins. I think it explains David Njoku. I think it explains Jared Avery getting traded. All these things that we were kind of questioning all year. Why are these things happening? I think now there was more of a pull on the sideline in the press box than when we ever knew. And it's a shame. And I know it's generic and it sounds like bullshit, but I'm glad Haslem said we need alignment. We need to be together, because I will say, I know it's just hearsay and it's rubber ball stuff, but I'm glad to hear him say it, because God, it is needed badly on this team. And that means up front and on the field. Both.
It's going to continue to just be lip service, though, Andy, in my opinion, because we're at a point right now where when we're looking back at the season, and if we are saying that DePodesta had more say in player personnel, certain issues, trading and trading Avery, making certain moves that weren't necessarily what Dorsey wanted, when we thought Dorsey had control, and Dorsey we trust, we're at a point now where not only is it strange that we're going to go ahead and go head coach first, GM second, why are we even playing this game if we all need to be on the same page when DePodesta is still going to report to Haslem separately, directly, and where the GM's going to report directly on the opposite side? Why not just have DePodesta act as your GM? What is the point at this point to even go and get a football guy when Haslem knows damn well he's going to side with DePodesta, especially because of the way things worked out with Freddie this year? DePodesta's got more credence in that, holds more authority now within Berea. So what the hell is the point? What is the point? We're going to repeat this again. It's Groundhog Day, my friend.
Yeah, Groundhog Day has been used by many people, and I gotta be honest with you, it should be spoken up and cheered loudly. The biggest trick to me is going to be what you just said. I'm going to hammer it. DePodesta has to be more. If he's this guy who's going to ruminate around, he cannot be sitting in La Jolla. He's got to be sitting in Berea. He's got to be going in there and being really a part of this whole process from beginning to end. And to your point, the biggest thing here too is I don't want to hear anymore about how DePodesta's here, player personnel's here, and everything else on the sidelines here. No. It's all got to be congruent. It's all got to be aligned. And you're right. The way things are lining up right now, I'll tell you, I'm glad he's still here, but it's really odd as Elliott Wolf. Elliott Wolf still being here is odd. It doesn't feel right. I don't like. It's almost like it's a wedge that's coming in here. Yeah, Brad Pitt, right? I mean, Moneyball analytics is going to rule the world here.
Well, you can hear it the way that you hear it in the way that that Haslem came out and was talking about throwing out. Oh, McCarthy's got a 62.7 win percentage in the NFL. Like, those aren't your words, you nerd. You didn't say that.
I know. I know.
Oh, that's all DePodesta. And then he said data. We'll look at the data. Bro,
he loved that word.
Give me a break.
He loved the word data.
We do it. We look at what sells well in the pilot in the stores.
Oh, my God. You can't. By the way, that is thank you. I'm so glad. When I heard that, I'm like, are you selling items at a gas station to things on the field?
Yes.
That'd be like me saying, what? Hey, doctor.
Think of Jarid. Think of Jarid Avery as beef jerky.
Well, right. Well, how about this? Coming to a doctor's office.
He should be on the end cap of an aisle.
Right. Well, it's like me coming in there and being, look, I use Neosporin to heal wounds. I'm a doctor. I mean, we're not comparing things that are practical. Anyways, okay. I want to get back to DePodesta. DePodesta to me is the big. I want to hammer this home because you alluded to it. He has got to work with whoever these people are from here on out, because it is the one thing he is getting, which I don't understand. He's getting a pass. He was with Sashi Brown. That team with him in charge with Sashi won one game in 2 years. One. It did not work well. The culture in Cleveland was horrible. He did not do well with that. I know he didn't hire Hugh Jackson.
Right, because analytics does not take into consideration the intangibles of who these people are.
I agree. And again, DePodesta cannot, I'm going to stress this. It will not work if he's in California. If he's going to be this big a presence, he needs to be in Cleveland now, today.
Well, do we even know that he's going to be here through January?
No, by the way, no, I doubt he will. And that's a problem. That's the biggest problem. The bigger things I don't understand is DePodesta gets to say things, fine. He can have opinion. He gets to have a weigh in things, fine, whatever. But he's not there day to day. He's not working hand in hand. And again, the one thing that drives me crazy about this fucking team. Dorsey and him weren't working together at all. Not a surprise, by the way, but that's why it was a problem. I should have known better back in January when this whole fucking thing came up again with Stefanski and Kitchens. I should have known, as you and I talked about, and I go, this does bother me again, how you got Stefanski here and Kitchens here, and they went with Kitchens because Dorsey's the hot man on the plate. And now we reverse back again. DePodesta's back. I just want to stress this. I really hope DePodesta, because he's got this big presence on the team, is hands-on, on the ground, really trying to make an effort to be there to make his impact felt, because you cannot do this from afar. You can't. Doesn't work. It's not fair to sit on the sidelines, look at some sheets, look at some film, and then make comments. You need to be there day to day, Jared. It does not work for him to be in La Jolla anymore. He can't. If I hear that this year, I will agree with you. I think dooming is, I mean, you don't want to guarantee it, but it's that is going to be omnipresent. It's going to be a great job.
It's Jimmy not understanding that he is by default building in wedges that don't need to be there.
Well, right. And DePodesta too. I don't want to hear DePodesta needs to, I can't say it enough. He needs to be there on the ground now. He needs to be packing up and moving to Cleveland today. The job starts today, right now.
Well, because otherwise, the way that he's got Jimmy apparently wrapped around his finger, it's almost like he's selling snake oil at this point.
I know, that's my point. I mean, you can't make judgments. It isn't a video game where you put things in place, or it's like Risk, and you roll the dice and you hope everything works out and you hope you get sixes and you get to the next country and you keep moving on. No, in this case, you need to be on the ground to see what's going on. Interact with people. It's a big part of life. And my God, it's a big part of football. And you've got to be a part of this. I don't understand how a guy like that who's making these kind of choices did it from La Jolla. He got away with it fine. So starting today, I want to hear about him being in Cleveland all the time. And honestly, I think, Jared, he needs to have a Dorsey-like presence. He doesn't need to be vocal, but he needs to be seen, needs to be felt in Cleveland. That's the thing that bothers everybody about DePodesta and bothers me. We haven't felt him.
He's a man behind a curtain.
He's a man behind a curtain, right. I couldn't even throw him out in the lineup. In fact, I'd point the dude who played his character in the Moneyball film. Because I don't know what he looks like. I don't know. I just think there's so much mystery about him, and he has so much control that I think that's what drives people like you and me and others crazy. Because we can't get.
Well, and the irony of it is he's been there longer than anyone else since 2016. Since 2016, no one else has been around at that level around the Haslems. Seven combinations we're at now. 7 combinations, GM and head coach in 7 years and 2 months.
It is. It's amazing.
That's where we're at. Oh,
so going back to yesterday with the, I don't blame you. I had one yesterday. That's because I drank too much coffee. So going back, probably because of this. Then I ate a bag of chips and passed out last night. I'm off to a real healthy start here in 2020.
Oh, well, I'm on dry January, so there's that. Although the first didn't count.
By the way, Cool Ranch Doritos on sale. Thumbs up. They are wonderful.
You know I don't eat that in my house.
Oh my God, they're delicious. Worth every fucking nickel. And 2 buy one get one free, man. Again, what a way to start the year. Okay, so the big thing from Haslem said a lot of things. He gave us some context. I think a lot of it, do what everybody's saying. It's political and whatever else, and that's what he's supposed to be. That's fine. But at least we got some things. The big note here is, which we all need to hear, John left because he did not change his contract. He wanted to change the position, and he won't get into details, which, by the way, that is what he has to say. I don't have a problem with that. But it gives it to the bigger point here. John was going to be demoted, and Dorsey didn't want that. And I do think that's wrong. Freddie, I got to say it one more time. Freddie going was good. That was the proper move. Dorsey should have stayed. And they should have worked this out.
Why would I don't understand? Demoted? What? I know. I just don't get it, dude.
But Jared, that's the thing.
I don't get it.
Why can't? Here's the thing I don't understand about the Browns. I don't understand this about life sometimes. Why can't DePodesta and Dorsey talk on the phone or do a conference call and work this shit out? Because if DePodesta is still going to be this player dude doing whatever else, and like a president doing this in Cali, then why can't Dorsey be there? I don't understand. The Dorsey firing was too soon. He had a very bad year, and he made a very bad hire. And again, the one thing I would tell John, if I could get into his ear, like, I understand why you did it. It's not crazy, but you should have let go of the Freddie Kitchens dream. you should not have wanted to bring him back.
Well, here's the deal. He probably would have felt a lot easier in doing that if he didn't have to be competing.
I know. Yeah, I
with
agree.
power
I agree.
with DePodesta. So again, it's Jimmy fucking Haslem's issue.
Well, okay, let's get to him for a second.
Yeah, let's talk about how all of a sudden there's rumors about Urban Meyer and he wants to sit there and go only NFL people, where I feel like he's lying to my face when he says it.
I gotta be honest with you, Jared. I think the GM job is more easier to guess. I think the head coach is a crapshoot among whiskeys on a Sunday night, and then whoever's the hot name is the hot name.
Yeah, where I'm sitting here thinking to myself, if McCarthy came into the office after putting in the work he did in the offseason, I just say hire him right now and call it over. I don't see a difference. 6 and 1, half dozen the other. Doesn't matter. Take the guy who's proven it, get him in there, and let's go. He's the only one I'd want picking a GM anyways.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, let's go through the head coaches. McCarthy's number one. I agree with you about McCarthy. He's being tied to John Eric Sullivan, I believe his name is. Let me make sure I got that right. That is the GM who used to work. Yeah, John Eric Sullivan. Now there seems to be a history with John Eric Sullivan and McCarthy that may not be the most pleasant. It's hard to tell, hard to read the tea leaves. So you bring him in with Elliott Wolf, maybe that makes a whole Packer family thing happy. I will say for Elliott Wolf's job, that makes a lot of sense because you can keep Elliott Wolf, you can keep Eric, and you can keep everything going.
Is that why you think Elliott Wolf is still hanging around?
I do. Actually, Jared, I do. I think, and I'll be honest with you too, I think they realize this is where the Haslems are kind of caught in between. They realize, though, that Dorsey did some good because you know why they couldn't clean house? Because he actually built some personnel on the field. And they realized. Oh,
there's another. Let's talk about this one. Let's talk about this, Andy. Let's talk about personnel on the field. What happens when new coaches and GMs come in? Because according to Jimmy Haslem, they've got a tough, great core group of guys that they want around. They talk to 25, 30 of them to get their feel on what they want out of a coach. You're telling me that there ain't going to be a big roster flip over the next 1-2 years?
It depends on who's there. If it's Elliott Wolf, if it's Elliott Wolf and McCarthy, I think it's very minimal. I do. I think it's minimal. Andrew Berry and whoever else, I think anything's possible. I mean anything. Baker Mayfield included. I think anything's possible. Anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I think anything's on the table if it's Andrew Berry and something else. And what I mean by that is they can really have carte blanche. I think Baker. I know a lot of people think Baker's untouchable, and he probably is. I even think with Andrew Berry and with the wheeling and dealing stuff, I think Baker Mayfield's time, he would be really hard-pressed to play well in year 3 under a Berry regime. I think that's going to be I think it's going to be everything. I think under McCarthy.
Really good coaching.
Yeah, he's going to need it. I'll tell you, McCarthy in the Wolf and Sullivan team, my guess would be he'd have a little bit more length and a little bit more rope in year 3 and 4. I think with analytics, I think it's going to be a lot more tighter. But that, I don't know. I mean, I'm just shooting off the hip saying that stuff. But I really do think that for Baker's sake, I think having a McCarthy regime would actually be the way to go. I will say, let me throw in a couple other things that have been rumored. I'm not a big fan of Roman only because I see what he's done with running quarterbacks. He actually should stay in Baltimore. That's a great job for him. He's well equipped with Lamar Jackson. I would even whisper him, you have the great gig. You actually kind of know your role here. I don't think it makes any sense for the Browns too. So let's forget him. Saleh, I don't know a lot about. I know he's the hot coordinator. He's obviously defensive minded. I don't mind something I don't care. Defense, special teams, offense. I don't give a fuck. Just come in and win games. I really don't care. So Saleh's another name. Don't really know much about him. I don't really have a feel for him. But again, he's another name that's been positive. Then there's Urban Meyer. And then we'll get to Josh McDaniels last. I think Urban Meyer would be fine. I don't mind Urban Meyer being here. I think Urban Meyer would actually embrace the Browns' job. Urban Meyer has a hammered fist, so he's going to fight for things on the field more than others would, and he'll have a temperament. He will have Jimmy's ear. I think that might cause problems for other things down the road, but okay. He will rule with an iron fist, though. Urban Meyer will not be pushed around. He will not be pushed around.
That I agree with, but with Garrett finally out in Dallas.
Oh, I know. Hey, look, that's a whole different scenario. I think Oh God, we could do a whole podcast on the Cowboys. Let's save that. Well, okay.
Basically, all I'm saying is it's even less likely now that Urban comes. That's all.
I'll be honest with you, Jared. I think if the Browns don't harp on McCarthy, I think McCarthy's going to be in Carolina or New York. I think they need to hop on McCarthy fast. I don't think he's going to be.
That's what I think.
I don't think it's going to be long for him on free agency. I really don't. I think he's going to be bought up. I really, really do. I don't see a guy like McCarthy being on the market long.
Which is weird because I don't like that they interviewed him first and that they've got 7 others to go through. Like that.
I know.
Like that screws things up a little bit because you're sitting here. You're sitting here talking about letting them slip through your fingers is what it is.
Yeah. So again, I think Meyer would be good. I won't do a whole thing. Listen to a past podcast. I think Jim Harbaugh would be a good thing too, but they won't even call him. It's okay. So Urban Meyer. Okay. The other names are rumored. I can't stand Brian Daboll. That is a bad hire. He was a terrible offensive coordinator for Cleveland Browns. Oh my gosh, I would be so defeated if he was the head coach. Kevin Stefanski. The offense was not working well until they made some changes and made him around Kevin Stefanski. I don't understand Kevin Stefanski at all. He's not been a good offensive coordinator for the Vikings. So why would he do good things here? He kind of lost control with Minnesota this year, and then the team started doing better. I don't understand Kevin Stefanski. I don't understand it at all.
Can we say, I guess, if we want to wrap this up tightly and neatly, that it's McCarthy 1, McDaniels 2, and Urban Meyer, we wouldn't lose.
Well, no, let's get to McDaniels. Okay. McDaniels, to me, I've seen him coach. We see him do his thing. The Patriots way is always enticing. Bringing Caserio in is enticing because I think that would bring some levity. Again, an iron fist type of control where people would have to work together. And I like that. With McCarthy and all these other things, it does make me wonder how they'll work with DePodesta. I'm curious. I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe they would. But again, you're going to have Elliott Wolf. You're going to have this Sullivan guy, it sounds like. That's a lot of people pro McCarthy. Is that going to create another Dorsey tension? I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. I think that's an odd marriage. I think my number one, if they really said, hey, what would you do if you got into your head and everything else? If I really, really would, I'd be like, McDaniels and Caserio, and here's why. It would bring a breath of fresh air. It would be a Patriot thing, which I do like. I don't mind it. Mm-hmm. And again, they would have an iron fist with a melding of analytics. I know they wouldn't be analytics anti. I think they would. I know there's this rumor that McDaniels and DePodesta don't get it wrong. Take that for what it's worth. But if he takes a job, you got to figure he's going to work with DePodesta in some sort of fashion. Or maybe Caserio does. I don't know. Whatever. But I think that combination I like. I think McCarthy would be my second choice. I think my third choice would be Urban Meyer, to be honest with you. And I think fourth, Saleh. Stefanski and Daboll, it'd be a bad podcast. I would be so.
Well, the problem I think with McDaniels that we still aren't taking into consideration is this is a guy who's been continuously interviewed for head coach jobs and turned them down, and is heir apparent according to multiple sources to that head coaching job with the Patriots, right? I mean, it's lined up perfectly for him to take over, which could be as soon as next season, considering Tom Brady and Tom Brady's trainer have their homes up for sale. So, I mean, you don't know what's going on in New England at this point and the way forward for them.
I mean, here's the one thing I guess I'll go back to with McDaniels. Bill Belichick did the same thing to the Jets. Bill took the job, canceled his press conference, took a flight, went up to New England, took the Patriots job. So Belichick's got a similar stain on it. People forget that, but it happened. And Bill Parcells carpeted that thing for him, by the way. Caused a huge rift for years with those two. Okay. So people got to remember shit happens. McDaniels did not handle the Colts thing properly at all. But the one thing that I just think that is the one thing I think it would I think they would push out Elliott Wolf, which I don't want to do, but I kind of think you need to. I think here's the weird. I guess this whole thing is so fucking weird. Elliott Wolf being in the building with all this stuff just doesn't make sense to me. So I think the Patriots thing would actually be good for them. I think these guys are going to be ready to come. McDaniels and Caserio both have Cleveland ties. I think that'd be a good thing. I think it'd be a nice thing to bring in there. And again, I think that would bring a little bit more melding to DePodesta. I know there's rumors of McDaniels and DePodesta don't get along. I think they could talk it out and work it out, whatever else. McCarthy would be my second. I think Urban Meyer would be good because, again, he would rule with an iron fist. I think that would cause some tension, but I think he would rule with an iron fist. I don't know Soleil, so I'll put Soleil fourth. Again, I know Dayball. Dayball would drive me insane. Oh, my God. I would. We're going to pass. By the way, if people who forget, Ryan Dayball, 3rd and 9, a good short screen pass for 5 yards. 3rd and 10, a good 3-yard out.
Oh, he fit right in Cleveland.
Oh, my God. He was the captain of, we need 10 yards, let's get a good 6.
Fit right in.
Oh, my God. He would drive me crazy. Jarid, it would be oh, my God. That is such a bad hire. Again, Roman, I think Roman should stay in Baltimore. I'm not going to say he's terrible, but I think he's fit for a niche. And again, my last thing on Stefanski, he needed help to turn around the offense. So why are we hiring Stefanski? And that goes to the bigger thing. The
reason we're hiring Stefanski is if we can't get the other guys.
Well, okay, so let's
that's
get to the
in play. We're in play for another one of those sessions of we're going to interview some quality folks.
Yep.
It doesn't work out. Part of it probably is because they can't come to an agreement on the role that DePodesta is going to play in regard to their own decisions.
Yep.
And they say no. So it's next man up, next man up, next man up. Eventually you got Pettin as your head coach.
So ready for this? You want my prediction on what I think will happen?
Yeah,
I think it's going to be Stefanski and Andrew Berry.
Oh, God bless. All right.
I really do.
Okay.
I think second is McDaniels and Casario. I don't think McCarthy's going to happen. I just don't. I just don't think it's going to happen. It makes too much sense. That's the reason why I don't think it will happen. Like again, how about this? If I were hiring, I would hire McCarthy. I would bring in the Sullivan guy and Elliot Wolf. What I think is best for the Browns is actually the Patriots because we're a little nutty. And then what I think is going to happen, I hate saying it, and nothing against Andrew Berry. Andrew Berry needs a second chance. So let's see what he can do as GM. But I think Stefanski is really in play. I think he is so in play.
Cool.
Oh my gosh.
How excited are you, Browns fans, for all of this?
Oh,
Isn't this fun?
Gosh.
Isn't this fun doing this every year and a half, every 2 years? Isn't this fun?
Again,
This is a blast.
Needed help with his offense, and that's his big claim to fame. This isn't really Stefanski leading the Vikings offense.
Well,
I mean, I don't understand. I don't fucking understand. Anyways, a lot of Hobbit in Cleveland if that happens. Okay, so all that to be said, let's go back to Jimmy's press conference. So we learned why John left, and again, just repeat one more time. I really felt John deserved a second chance. I know it was a bad hire. You hit it, and I said I understand why he wanted to bring Freddie back because he's trying to gain power and get a proud personnel shift against analytics. All that to be said, that wasn't the correct move by John. He should have let that go. I think that would have helped out saving his job. I really do. That's all to be said. That's gone now. He's gone. I wish John best. You know, we talked about the Freddie Kitchens era. John Dorsey was a great excitement in Cleveland. I loved his passion. I loved his buddy boy attitude. I love all that stuff. I wish John well, too. I would buy John Dorsey a beer. John was by far the most fun. Next to Phil Savage, Phil and John were fun GMs. Fun GMs. I really enjoyed both. Really enjoyed John. I thought John made some good choices. Some draft picks did not work out as well. The head coach hire was not a good hire at all. All that to be said, though, John did a lot of good for Cleveland. And I will just say this one more time. You want to just go – people have been bashing Dorsey. 13 wins compared to 1 in 2 years.
Listen,
okay.
If you're bashing them, I don't know how you kill. I don't
understand that either. Again, the only thing is Kitchens.
Like let's just think about Ray Farmer and then tell me you want to bash John Dorsey.
Mike Holmgren, Eric Mangini.
Yes.
Eric Mangini.
Yep.
I mean, Eric Mangini, good coach, not a good GM. We learned that firsthand. Mohamed Massaquoi, example A. So I mean, remember that? Muhammad Massaquoi, Brian Robisky. Even Buckeye fans didn't like Brian Robisky. Anyways, all that to be said. Right? Muhammad Massaquoi coming across the middle. You can't find him, but there he is. Boy, remember Greg Little's got fast. He's fast. What's his downfall? Can't catch. Oh, man. God, it's another great. All right. Let's not go back down memory lane.
It's all the same. It's all the same. Same as it ever was.
So Haslem, his big thing was alignment and organization messaging yesterday. That was on Thursday. The big point he made was getting the right people in place in alignment. It is by far brutal. I will say though, I like that he said that, but again, I'm not naive. That's just
Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day. Heard it once, heard it twice, heard it 1,000 times.
Why'd you bring Elliot Wolf back? Because we like him.
Andy,
we don't know what's he gonna do.
Andy, there's a reason.
Is Elliot Wolf part of the church?
There's a reason that there's a hashtag sell the Browns picking up steam. Sell the Browns. Hashtag sell the Browns.
I will remind people.
Because I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to invest my energy into a team with an owner that doesn't know what the hell he is doing. Unless we get really lucky. You got to hit the lottery. It's got to be an accident. They got to slip and fall into success.
We have tons of data, though. We are going to know how much popcorn's bought. We're going to know how much soda and beer is sold.
How about reverse analytics to figure out?
How about this? How
they
about
can look back on all their dumbass?
Oh my God, yeah. Remember Cam Irving? Remember Cam? How about?
Hey, remember Cam Jordan? I mean,
Jordan
Cameron. Remember that?
Jordan Cameron, yeah.
Wait, who we drafting?
How about Cody Kessler? Cody Kessler ranked really high in analytics. If you ever watched him play at USC, anyways, forget right, forget that. If you watch him play at USC, you know he stunk. But I mean, hey, you want to draft him anyways? Okay, cool. By the way, put him in. I mean, just on.
Does the guy on the street in Cleveland? Did he use analytics to help pick Johnny Manziel?
Oh my God! Thank God that wasn't. Was that analytics? I don't think it was.
Was that analytics?
Oh God! It's all blur. It's all blur. All right. The GM will have the final roster say. This whole head coach is hired first thing. I actually don't believe that. I actually don't. I think all this is one big hire. I really do. I don't think the head coach is being hired.
Yeah, it makes sense that way.
I'm sorry. I know they said the head coach hired first. I think this is a joint marriage. They didn't want to say it.
Which again could make sense. It could just be again Jimmy's ridiculous way of explaining it.
I'm starting to learn what he says is the opposite. So what I said is like, okay, it's
the guy is so full of it. He's either full of it or his mind is changed so easily. I can think of a couple other business type leaders that like to make dumbass decisions based on whoever's in their ear last. But I'll leave that for another show.
Urban Meyer was not confirmed or denied. I think that is the one thing. Okay, now do you want good theater? Do you want a good soap opera? If the Urban Meyer is not hired by the Cowboys, he will be talked about in that place. Urban Meyer's loved by the Haslems. I think that is going to play.
I don't need to see Urban kneeling on the sidelines because he's got his head bumping.
But he had his hands on his knees on that big play against Clemson. He was ready to go. He's ready to go.
Well, I guess it's better than having your back to your team when your defense is on the
God.
field.
Talking about
oh, poor Freddie. All right.
Multiple fucking plays, multiple games, multiple times, talking to his team when the play is going on the field. Why the fuck is Dontrell Hilliard playing in these spots in the game? By the way, you want a positive? That kid Johnson turning kicks against the Bengals, he's a keeper. I liked him. He was good.
Well, then we'll trade him.
I know. Well, he doesn't rate in analytics. So again, I think Urban Meyer.
We got a solid core, guys.
Again, Urban Meyer, I think would be. I think he's an interesting thing if he doesn't get the Dallas job, because I believe he will play big in the Haslem's head. To be seen, because if the Cowboys open up the truck and they back up the Brinks, he'll be there. And by the way, if you gave me a gun in Vegas, who do you take? Stefanski, Berea, and Cleveland, Urban Meyer to Dallas.
Well, here's the other thing. This hire is going to cost the Haslems a lot. There's no way anyone comes in here for any less than 4 or 5 year contract, correct? And that doesn't guarantee that person's even going to be here, but they will be paid for 4 or 5 years.
How about this? Stefanski, I think those other guys will not get as much. Like Dayball, they're not going to get that much. Why would they get that much? El Cheapo.
We'll see.
I think.
Why would anyone take this job without that? Which again,
well,
that
McCarthy,
might be, if it is that way, Andy, then you are looking at Stefanski or one of those others. Because
I think that's what's going to happen.
Because that means Haslem didn't want to sign some. I don't know, but he talks about stability. Maybe he will, but again, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Even if it is a 4 or 5 year deal, it doesn't guarantee that coach.
Yeah, I mean, maybe again, we'll have to see. Again, I think the Patriots would be best because of what they're trying to do. What I would do is McCarthy and Sullivan and Wolf until DePodesta to move, or Meyer or Jim Harbaugh. And again, all those other guys. I don't know Saleh. I don't have a vibe or feel on Saleh at all. I really don't. So I don't know one way or the other on what he would do or not do. The one more point about this whole thing yesterday, this Elliott Wolf situation is also interesting. And again, we kind of heard upon it, but let's hit it one more time. Normally, you would kind of more clean house. The Browns didn't do that. They kept Wolf around.
Listen, if they're keeping Wolf around, I think it has to do with McCarthy.
I think it does too. I also think it shows that even though DePodesta is leading this, they realized 1-31 is on his neck too. It's on his neck.
Maybe.
I do.
Maybe, or this, like I said, or this just plays directly. I mean, then why keep? I mean, Jimmy doesn't talk like 1-31 hangs around his neck. He doesn't sound that way.
I know. No, by the way, he doesn't talk that way. But keeping Elliott Wolf around is the notion. It's like Jarid Avery getting traded. Well, now that trade makes sense to me. Because I kept saying, like, I can't believe Dorsey would make that trade. Well, probably because DePodesta forced his hand to make that trade. And so now that makes sense. By the way, this is silly. I think a lot of what Hollywood Higgins was a analytics guy. Maybe Hollywood Higgins, the whole thing was more to do with analytics than what we thought. Because that would make sense. David Njoku was an analytics draft pick.
Trying to force him on the field and then refusing to put him on the field. Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's making more sense of why these things happen.
Oh, and there you go. And then those players are just pawns in the whole thing. And
everybody was a pawn. That's why this season wasn't 10-6, which it should have been. It was 6-10 because there's so much drama. Okay. The bigger moment in this press conference too was Baker getting defended by Haslem. Baker caught a lot of grief this year. He did a remarkable job. He really wants him to have more opportunities that he believes for better play calling on the field to be successful to him. So something I want to bring up here. I think Baker's got a lot of backing by the owner, obviously, and clearly, which is great. Yeah. What a big thing's going to be here, and which again is why I mentioned Urban Meyer thing. Will Baker get a vote into the coach without us knowing publicly? I don't know. But I'll be honest with you. Don't be surprised if everybody in the room's a mess again, that Jimmy calls Baker to get his opinion and Baker sways the room to lean what Haslem's going to do. Because Haslem made it clear it's D and Jimmy making this hire.
Well, this is my fear. This is my fear with that. Does Baker want a buddy boy?
I don't know.
Does Baker want another buddy like Freddie Kitchens? I don't think that that's necessarily the case because I don't feel like Baker. You never heard, did you hear Baker really? I mean, and maybe I'm missing something. He didn't really sound off in a way of supporting Coach Kitchens.
No. He towards the end, he realized it wasn't going well. Okay, let's go down this road for a second. Baker in that last game showed his year in full circle. He made some great plays. He had some big touchdowns that we hadn't seen all year. Reminded me of the Carolina game from last year. Yeah. Throwing the ball deep to start the game, rally, catching the ball, scoring touchdown. A great throw to Landry for a touchdown. The OBJ play was a great catch, great throw, great touchdown all the way around. But then we saw the other Baker scrambling and looking lost, having to moments where the ball gets tipped down, having moments where he doesn't look secure in the pocket, having some bad throws. And then you see another moment of Baker running, getting the first down, and getting in someone's face. And then before the game, he's yelling at people in the stands. We got the full Baker Mayfield in in 1 year in that one game. That one game sums up
Yep.
Baker's year in one big thing. There's a lot of potential. He has some tip balls. He has some interceptions. He has some balls not going his way. As Landry pointed out, which I give Landry gave a wonderful press conference. He actually made a great point. He goes, some of those interceptions were on me. Some of these interceptions were on wide receivers. It just wasn't on Baker, which tells you the leadership was not, again, for people who Kitchens had to go. I'm telling you, Kitchens had to go.
I know.
Nice guy. He had to go.
Hey.
So all that to be said, that was where I moved here. But going back to this whole thing about Baker, I think if the room again is divided and there's all these people chirping everybody's ear, I don't think Baker's telling D and Jimmy, hey, you got to call Lincoln Riley and get him up here from Norman, Oklahoma, which, by the way, I think is a silent participant if this really gets crazy. Because there's I already noticed one recruit not going to Oklahoma, and I noticed some weird, quiet tea leaves in Norman. That is a wild poker guess. I don't think it's going to happen, but if I had to. But anyways, I think what's going to happen is Haslem's going to have two people at the end, and the room will be tied up again, and everybody will be blah, 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 disagreeing, whatever, or maybe agreeing, whatever. But if there's some sort of broach moment where the Haslems don't love the hire or whatever else, I would not be surprised they call Baker, get his input, and he pushes that one person they want over the top. It would not surprise me, Jared. Yeah. It would not surprise me at all.
All right. Well,
but by
the way, at the end of the day, Andy, I don't even care.
Well,
in the sense that, let's put it this way, in the sense that until I see product on the field, I'm just going to watch numb. I'm just numb. I really am. I get mad. I get a little mad, but then I get mad at myself for getting mad. So I don't bother getting mad. And I'm not really mad. I'm just numb. Been doing it enough.
Well,
doing it enough. Half my life has been watching this team just flounder. Flounder. Rudderless ship is how I describe it.
It is. Well, we move forward, and this is a big hire. And these are big things that need to happen here. What I think, here's the one thing I guess that is good for us. I don't have any kind of good gut vibe of what's going to happen. Again, if I had to guess, Stefanski and Berry, but I don't know why. I think Urban Meyer is going to play a bigger role than this, even if he doesn't take the job. And I think that Patriots duo is more in play than people think. But I think it's all over the place. Again, as the Browns are. I think it's all over the place. And again, Elliott Wolf being in the building to me is very weird. I think it's so strange.
Yeah.
That's why, to your point, McCarthy and Sullivan coming in would make a lot of sense too. But I don't know. The other comment that I got that kind of caught my ear was the organization was not aligned. He basically said at one point Freddie and John could always done better and within the organization. Yeah. And again, it proves we've kind of hit this point, but it kind of proved when Jimmy said that statement, there was no cohesion between DePodesta and that side of the building and Freddie and John. There was none from day one.
Yeah.
None. And that really played a big role in what happened here. I think we've hit the DePodesta point home quite a bit. I think the one thing too that, is going to be interesting again, DePodesta being Cleveland. If he's got that much of a role and this much to say, I think it's really big. I think we've hammered home McCarthy and Sullivan and all that stuff. I think if that happens, Elliott Wolf stays. McDaniels and Caserio, I have no idea what would happen with Wolf. And then you got Saleh, Wolf, and Berry. And then you got Saleh, and you got the other guys. Dayball we mentioned. I think really the one here that, again, makes more sense to me is Andrew Berry being the GM matches up with, I think, anybody here aside from McCarthy. I think any other guy here, and Caserio. I think any other guy here, though, if it's Saleh, if it's Stefanski, if it's Urban Meyer, I think Andrew Berry is your GM. I think so. I think everybody else is an arranged marriage. The first two are the two coaches who we probably want the most in here, who's got NFL experience, McDaniels and McCarthy. They're going to bring in guys, Sullivan and Caserio. I think everybody else is going to be Andrew Berry. I think that's pretty simple, actually.
Arranged marriages work out really well.
They always do. We love them in Cleveland. And I think we've had Eric Bieniemy is going to be interviewed too at some point, even though he's getting no traction and they have not even scheduled a date for him. He's kind of lingering in the wind right now. It's just so weird how the Browns are requested. And he's not an off week too. It just doesn't make I don't know. The Bieniemy thing to me is weird too. They're obviously going to interview him, but they haven't really made any kind of a real attempt to bring him in. Everybody else, they've made real dates and real times. Bieniemy is just feels like it's almost an extra. Maybe it's because of minority rule. They just get someone in, but it just feels like it's an extra, Jared. Doesn't really feel like they're really giving Bieniemy much of a shot. I think everybody else is in play. And again, my last thing on this whole thing, I think Urban Meyer's more in play than people think. I really do. It doesn't mean he's coming to Cleveland either, but I think
we'll see. And again, just to clarify for anyone who doesn't understand, some of the rules with this, they don't have to announce that they're going to interview him, right? They could. It's these other guys. They have to announce it. I think
the Browns do send out a press release though. Anytime a guy's been interviewed, they put out one from Roman yesterday. They put one out from McCarthy. So they always do. I mean, the Browns are pretty true for everything they do. Weird. They do put out press releases when people go out there.
Well, then if they are going to do that with Urban, it's going to come out last minute and it's going to be a surprise, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Again,
but in my mind, if Urban's that hot on their radar, then they've already been talking.
I think he's that hot on the Haslem's radar.
Well, then they've already been talking to them.
Yeah, well,
but who knows? Because that's another issue that we could talk about at some point. Is Browns? I'd love to go in and help out with Browns, or maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I'd love it. Maybe I wouldn't. Go help out with some Browns PR. That office. I'm sure they probably want to pull their hair out every once in a while too.
So that's what's happened in the last 96 hours in Cleveland with the Browns. Mm-hmm. So we are going to have more talks about this, and it's going to be great. They did play a game on Sunday. Everything I thought that played out exactly the way I thought it would. Lost by 10. Mixon ran. I mean, you can play back the podcast. Mixon ran all over him. He handed the ball off, and they listened, and they did what they had to do. The big thing in this game that really killed the Browns was third down. They had no plans for third down. They didn't have any interest in stopping the Bengals on any play. Boyd went off in this game. Dalton went off in this game too, in my opinion. And the Browns, with the leading rusher up until week 17, Nick Chubb couldn't get anything on the ground going. Just really couldn't get anything. It was the one time all year Chubb really never got started. He did not get a lot of carries again. Blah blah blah. There you go. The other problem is too, though, he never, even when he got carries, it was the first time all year he never really got a punch. Like he never really got through the line. The line just did not look great in that game.
The line looked awful.
Looked awful.
The line looked awful.
We hit on Baker.
That was bad.
The one thing I would tell Baker, if I could, to have his ear, be like, that game again, I thought summarized this whole year and what's going on. And I really hope for him he gets a chance to decompress and get to work, because we need him and we need him to be successful. And we
seems like he's doing that, despite the incorrect reports of him, which, by the way, even if he was, who gives a shit that he was out getting hammered on New Year's Eve or whatever.
By the way, he needs to. That sucked.
Yeah.
That sucked.
I hate when people do this stuff.
By the way, it's the same thing too with Eli Manning. He's allowed to do shots with Daniel Jones at a bar.
At least he didn't. He didn't. Yeah, exactly. Correct.
He's allowed to do that. He's allowed to do that.
Hey, but what I'm saying is, what I actually like about this is that I don't think Baker fired back at those claims, and maybe I missed it, but that's I'll take that as a good sign that Baker's ignoring the bullshit at this point. If we can start doing that, I'll love it.
Here's my only thing about all this. If this is happening on a Saturday for a Sunday, there's a problem. But hey, it's happening on New Year's Eve. Who cares?
Hey, you talked to me New Year's Eve. How was I in downtown Cleveland?
I remember talking to you, right? I mean, look, it's all anyway, that's that.
I'm glad no one's following me around with a camera.
Right. The biggest thing though with Baker that I do want to reiterate though one last time, he does need to handle the social media PR aspect better.
Yeah,
he does.
Yeah.
I love his energy. Yeah. I love his confidence. It did not go well this year. No. It went backwards from week one on.
No more. He doesn't need to do the back and forth with Colin Cowherd.
Shaving mustaches during games, coming in t-shirts. Like he needs all that stuff for even simple things of calling out the training staff.
And on the same note, on the flip side, because there are two sides to all of these things. On the flip side, I don't need fans getting pissed off and saying dumb things like Baker needs to do less commercials and and worry more about the field.
Hey.
And why is he doing these commercials? Because I don't think fans realize he's doing his stuff in the offseason. Those commercials were recorded forever ago, and he's making money. Exactly.
He's making money.
Exactly. So don't be dumb. Don't be dumb about the commercials.
Again,
Let him do the damn commercials. They're good. They're funny.
Ready for this? Let's be realistic.
That's
Baker
what I like,
drinking, Baker drinking on New Year's, Baker doing commercials. I don't care.
Not the problem. Not
Baker
the problem.
going
Don't conflate that with the social media stuff.
Correct. Baker, everything else about Baker, he really does. He's got to settle. It will help him on the field. Okay. Other things to notice from this game, Ratley had one big play, then he dropped a couple balls. I'm done with Ratley. I won't go on later about that today. Landry and OBJ had their moments. OBJ was really sick and still played really well in this game. I thought Baker had a great run in this game. I thought it was one of the toughest. He is, God, you do love him when he's making that run. He gets jacked and he still gets the first down. This is great to see. It is the same old song and dance. He's going to have a better second year. Greedy Williams just looked awful in this game. I don't know what else to say. It's a rookie. You just hope he learns from this. But oh my gosh, is that a bad rookie year? I think he's got a lot to do in the offseason. And this is the first game too. I didn't feel Hunt. I didn't think Hunt made any. Wasn't his fault. He just didn't make any appearance. I don't remember making a play. Just kind of came and went in this game.
They had no plan. They had no identity.
No,
and that's what sets up for this. So.
Yeah, exactly. The other player who stands out on tape is Burris. Burris is a good player. They need to bring him back. I like Burris. I like that kid Johnson. I thought those two really stood out in this game as positives. I think they need to bring both back. I like Johnson returning kicks was good. That guy can. That's something we got here. I think a quiet story, which is not for today. A quiet story is Cyber in this kicking, but I don't want to get into it today. But this mixed extra point stuff, I'm just telling you.
Yeah,
wasn't a clean year. Wasn't a clean year.
No, there were blips that made you question what's going on.
Yes,
you could almost feel him too. The times that he would miss.
Yes,
you could feel.
The other big thing that happened on Monday was Landry's press conference. I thought he really talked about, you teed it up, leadership, the identity of who we are and who we are trying to become. No doubt everyone's trying to win. I just don't think we knew how to do it, end quote. I mean, that's something that came out of Landry's mouth. So that is something where you could tell he needs to feel it. The other big thing that came relevance is he's going to maybe be out for 6 to 8 months if he has surgery on his hip. So he's going to have some major stuff done to him. And by the way, that guy is really tough. I thought he looked tired. He wasn't tired. He was hurt. He was really hurt at the end of the year. So the other big thing that he really put it on us on, which I'll hit again, is Mayfield. I am responsible for a couple of the picks for me just looking at him, and he's aware of it. And there's no doubt in my mind he will correct it. He also said the sense of urgency needs to be up. And, the last thing to hammer it home, in case everybody who wanted to defend Freddie was a hardworking guy, wasn't in over his head, but he tried his best. Basically, he's saying, look, it is what it is.
Yeah.
The tape showed it. We can feel it.
And the way that Landry talks about Baker, man, those guys really need to stay tight through all of this. Baker, Jarvis, Odell, Kareem Hunt is in that group because Kareem's been hanging out with Jarvis and Odell, I think. And even though Nick Chubb's the quiet storm, keep him close as well, obviously.
Yeah, I think
Joel Bitonio is going to be, another leader that has spoke up a little bit and said things that he needs to say regarding what this team needs going forward. Joel talking about needing a really tough head coach. It's going to kind of kick their ass a little bit. So
yes, I think the bigger thing that came out of that, again, Landry is the leader, and he has got the locker room. That's what came out of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Baker and him are together as one, and they're working together. The locker room isn't as it's weird. The locker room isn't fractured. What's fractured has been the front office. We were focusing. I think everybody was focusing on the wrong things this year when it came to fracturing.
Well, and this is one of those situations, Andy, where I've talked to you about this, where through that, this is the adversity where that pulls them together, where they're playing for themselves. They're not playing for Jimmy Haslem. They're not playing for a GM. They're not playing for analytics. They're playing for a head coach that can lead them, but they're playing for each other at the end of the day. That's the good possibility of what could come out of this.
Here's the big thing with hope. Right, I keep cutting you off. I'm sorry. The big thing about hope, to your point, there have been many owners who are shitheads. And I'm not saying the Haslems are shitheads, but there's been many owners who have been shitheads, and they've won big. You can win despite ownership. You can do it. I can point to countless examples, especially in the NFL. You can do it if there's right core, if there's the right people, and everybody's aligned.
Yeah.
There was some fractured moments on the field, but everybody got along. But there was so much dysfunction that shit ran downhill again. It was to me, it was just as bad as Ray Farmer calling down to Shanahan during a game to ask him questions when the whole cell phone debacle happened. It was that bad. I didn't realize it was that bad, but I did after the Bengal game. It was that bad.
Yeah.
So that's the hope. I'll ask this before we go to the Buckeyes, as we talked almost an hour about the Browns. Again, if I had my bet in Vegas, little, not loving it, little towards Stefanski and Barry, then a close seconds, the Patriots duo, and then McCarthy.
Right.
And I think Urban Meyer's a wild card. I know this in my heart. I know he's a wild card. I really do. I would not be surprised. And by the way, the Haslems have gone down these roads with coaches like Chip Kelly and whatever else, and it hasn't worked out. So don't be surprised if we go down these roads again. We've gone down roads with big name coaches coming over from college to pros, and it's not worked out. Don't be surprised if it happens again. I can see that rodeo happening one more time. Well, it's 55 minutes in. Do you have anything more about the Browns today?
Nope.
We will do another podcast next week.
So, listen, I gave up another little piece of my soul this season, and so I'm just ready to do it again next year, I guess. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, there's good news for DePodesta. These next interviews are being done in San Francisco, so he can just drive up and be in person for those. He's got to be in Berea. He has got to be in Berea. Oh, my gosh. Can't say that enough. Okay, let's transition to the Fiesta Bowl. So the first game of the day was LSU getting a warm-up game from Oklahoma. I just want to make this one footnote about that game and that conference. The Big 12 had a terrible bowl season. If it wasn't for Texas being Utah, that conference would have gone over in bowl games. The Big 12 was a joke. Oklahoma looked outmatched, outclassed. It's one thing to lose LSU. It's one thing not to be competitive. That game went 35-7 like that. And Joe Burrow played great, and LSU is very good, but my gosh, Oklahoma's got to put up a better performance than that. I thought that was a really, really bad performance from Oklahoma in that game. Okay, to the second game, to the Jared Watson Bowl. So I can lead off if you want me to. There's a lot of conversation about referees after the Clemson game. The biggest thing that I want people to remember is this was a great – because I'm a neutral fan, as people know or people don't know. I'm not a Buckeye fan. I'm a huge Irish fan. By the way, they kicked ass, and I'm a huge Boilermaker fan. They did not – huge Boilermaker fan. We'll talk about basketball here in 30 seconds, but – the biggest thing in this game is a great classic game, very evenly played.
Yeah.
It was the semifinal game we've all been waiting for. If you want to go to a singular scapegoat moment, at 3 minutes in on fourth down, I really thought they should have gone for it. And it proved. It doesn't matter. Clemson goes 94 yards or 80 yards. They are so quick. They're so equipped. It doesn't matter. I would have gone for it on fourth down. He didn't. He punted. By the way, it was a great punt. They made him go 94 yards, but Clemson went 94 yards like that. The other big thing in this game is Clemson came out for some reason snoozing, and Ohio State had 3 field goals. And God, if you turn a couple
this was it.
That would have been a different game.
Andy, I talked to my dad and I, where he's sitting there, we're just going, they're kicking too many field goals. It felt like a Browns game. I was like, why are they playing like the Browns? Why can't they get in the end zone?
They were.
They were really having issues getting the ball in the end zone. That was issue number one. Issue number two was J.K. Dobbins didn't have his best game. He did have one hell of a game, but it was just a couple of mistakes that he did make that were painful on the drop pass, basically in the end zone. Yep. To me, that looked like a running back who thought he was running the ball and just needed to cross the goal. The way that he planted the ball as he went down, he didn't tuck it in and hold the catch. If I'm not mistaken. So in my mind, that was a guy who was thinking like a running back and not like a receiver at that moment.
Yep.
So I think that was possibly a mental error that caused that lapse. The other issue, of course, comes down to the referees, and we are going to get into that because there were people with a lot of comments on that stuff. I will say the catch that was called incomplete that was originally called a fumble. That's a tough one for me to swallow, only because you're talking about indisputable evidence overturning that, and I don't believe there was. It looked like there was 2 solid hands on that ball, 3 solid steps taken, a football move forward, and that should have been just because there's an arm between those 2 hands doesn't mean that that's not a completed catch at that
That's
point.
the one call that was brutal. If I'm,
That really did change
was
the
brutal.
momentum completely at that point.
I
Because
thought
that ball game would have been. That's the issue again, Andy, that comes into these refs making decisions that end up flipping what a game would be. Because close games like that, when you that makes a call like that much more important to get right, because it's a close game, and they botched it, and that's where we're sitting right now. I wasn't mad at the end of the game. I was bummed out. It was one hell of a season. In my mind, Ohio State should be moving on because of that call. But in my mind, I also know that they left points on the field. They left points on the field, and that's just, you can't do it. You can't do it. You can't leave it in the ref's hands, and that's what they did.
Ryan Day is a good coach, and he's on his way to being a great coach. Dabo Swinney is a great coach. The in-game adjustments and what they simply did by allowing Lawrence to run on the field made a big difference in this game. People, you can go back and listen to the Raiders podcast for the Browns. Referees don't cost games. I know there was some. I thought that one call, I agree. I thought the targeting call was actually a good call. I know people go crazy about that.
I'm getting miss on that one. I get it by the book. It's the right call, but he
50-50 call. It's a 50-50 call.
Now you want to talk about 44 in the Oklahoma game. That was a targeting. That was targeting.
That was targeting. I will say this, though. The one thing that I did see, which I'm glad people bring more up, Dobbins really got, I thought, brutally ankle twisted in that game. And I thought that was that's something I think needs to be flagged more. There's more of that in football. And
that ankle was not good. You're right. I didn't even think.
And that was it. That was a nasty hit. And that was a little bit after the whistle, in my opinion. But that's more the targeting.
And there was a hit in the back of the head on that play, wasn't it? Or was it a different play?
I don't remember, but there was like a play where his ankle got twisted. And I was like, man.
Chase Young had a couple of hands to his face that I saw too. That was aggravating. That since he came back from the suspension, it's like, it makes sense. These guys need to JK made his announcement. He's going to the NFL. Yeah. And of course, after tweaking that ankle, get the hell out and run.
As a running back, you have to. Here's the biggest thing in this game. So again, I don't think referees cost this game. I don't. ATN in space is dangerous. He proved it. ATN is going to be a wonderful Darren Sproles back in this league. When he gets to the NFL, he is going to catch. Boy, if you don't think that's Darren Sproles 2.0, I think that guy is going to be a wonderful third down back in the NFL. He is just so great in space, and he is so fast, and he just zips down the field, and he has great hands. The biggest difference to me in this game is Lawrence played a little bit better in Fields, and I do want to get to the final play. I feel terrible for Olave. Yeah. I've seen replays. If Olave runs his route, that would have been a touchdown, I think. I think that gets forgotten. That was just one of those miscommunications.
All it was. It was painful. I will say, I'm glad the deflection in a way maybe is going off the referees and not on Olave's. I feel bad for him. That was just something he did, and he thought he was doing good for the team. Day had some good comments after the game about it. And he just felt, obviously, Olave felt shocked. Oh, and let's not bury this, by the way. Coach Day, what an outstanding first year as a head coach.
No. He's
unbelievable.
He
has come in and done with all the questions that were up there at the beginning of all this, Andy. Is he ready? Is this really going to work? Oh, the boosters are standing by. This ain't going to stand. If he loses 1, 2, 3 games, we're going to have issues in Ohio State. It was the cleanest handoff that you could have ever asked for between him and Urban, and that guy was ready day one. You can see it anytime you watch him talk to that team. Anytime you watch him have conversations or get hyped up and rally that team, Coach Day has got it. And this Ohio State team is going to be a beast under him. We know for sure next season, and hopefully for the years to come. Unbelievable how this
and that's something I wanted to bring up. His experience, it reminded me of where Dabo was 4 years ago when he first went up against Saban. He just doesn't have the chops yet, because Dabo proved in that game there were little things he did.
Yes, correct.
Really made a big difference in this game. And the one thing I want to give Ohio State credit, there was a couple times where Clemson had Ohio State in the ropes, and Ohio State did not back down. They made some key stops. They made some big tackles that kept them in the game. Ohio State was right there. Look, there are 3 teams on any normal year. Ohio State, Clemson, and LSU on any normal year would have won that championship. that happens that these three teams are all playing the same year. That's why I love that game.
If you could be a coin flip again, you play Ohio State and Clemson again tomorrow, and Ohio State might win that game.
Ohio State, LSU.
It really is a
all
coin
those three
flip.
teams are even. I'm telling you, they're dead even. They're so close.
Yeah.
They really are. It's just hard. I mean, that's the thing about this game. Is I read some people saying, well, one guy who's a neutral observer, the better team won. I'm like, if Chris Olave runs his route, I think that's a game-winning touchdown. Think about that. That's how close it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's how close it was. So It was a wonderful game. It was one of the best playoff games yet. I know Clemson and Alabama played a couple great tight games. I thought this was better. I love this game. You could not get a vibe for who was going to win the entire time you watched it. I thought Ohio State left points on the field in the first half. I thought Ohio State should be commended. They made big stops in the fourth quarter against Clemson to keep them around. Lawrence was the difference in this game and ATN. ATN in space is just too dangerous.
And Ohio State's offensive mistakes.
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. They had some. And again, they'll learn from it. They'll be better from it. And again, if you want one on Coach Day, on 4th down and 4, or whatever it was, 4th and 3, go for it next time. It's Clemson. It doesn't matter if you give them 70 yards or 94. Just go for it. You got to put them away. Mm-hmm. I thought that punt was a big mistake. Anyways, all that to be said, it was a great game. Wonderful, wonderful game. I know it's tough to pill to swallow for you and many other Buckeye fans, but I just want to commend Ohio State. I thought that was one of the best playoff games I've seen yet, even comparable to Clemson and Alabama. It was really that good. I mean, very, very, very good game. LSU Clemson's going to be a wonderful game.
Yes.
We'll get into that more in the podcast. And by the way, for how much it drives me crazy and for how much I don't want him to be a Bengal, Joe Burrow is tailor-made for the NFL. But anyways, last final thoughts on all this today. By the way, okay, I forgot one more thing. Then I'll get to Purdue real quick. Gene Smith, though, and if I were Gene, and I understand the passion. You're playing to your fan base. Telling a reporter something in a text message to feel free how pissed I am, end quote. Gene, I don't know if that was a move. I don't. Come on. You're the AD. Come on. Put your AD gap. Let's Day players saying that. I get it. AD.
Yeah, I mean, you're. Yeah. It definitely.
That was weird. That was a weird thing. I don't think that came off well for him. I thought Day handled it well. Tough pill to swallow. Those kind of comments. I get that. Gene Smith, feel free to share how pissed I am. Okay. Ooh. In a text message. So.
Somebody take his phone.
Too much bourbon, Gene. Too much bourbon.
I'm not overly angry at it. I can see in the heat of the moment, but at the same time, not.
You're an AD. Put your AD hat on.
I know.
Put your AD hat on. Okay. Two more things about bowl games. Love the win for Minnesota. That was a great bowl game. Last night's bowl game too was exciting. And boy, can Jim Harbaugh just knock it out of his own way. My gosh, Alabama. Then Alabama's a better team, but my gosh, that second half from Michigan was.
Yeah, it was. I know.
That was not good. Michigan's got every year.
I don't know how they keep moving forward with him.
We could do a whole show on that. That is an interesting development. Okay, real quickly on Purdue, just to get this off. It's one of the best college basketball games I saw all year again. No one watched except for me and probably thousands of other Purdue fans and Minnesota fans. Loved how Purdue played. That was a Coach Painter gutted out win. And I'll tell you the one thing I love, no Joel Eastern, 0 points, but had some of the biggest defensive stops you'll see all year for people who I know we have some West Lafayette listeners. I think Purdue is a year away. Next year, Purdue is going to be so good. And on the flip end, if you're an Ohio State fan, I think Ohio State is legit top 5, top 10, and the Big Ten is loaded. The Big Ten is loaded. Losing to Minnesota just after Purdue played Minnesota, losing to Minnesota Ohio State fans is not as shameful. Minnesota's tall, good, and fast. Saw it in person last night. So losing to Minnesota at the barn, not a bad loss for Ohio State. Not a bad loss at all. There's going to be a lot of Rutgers is better. Rutgers is ranked 33rd in the RPI. I mean, there's some teams that are really high up there. ranking high. So the Big Ten is going to be brutal. I would suggest to watch it. And then back to the Browns as we close. I really hope the alignment thing plays. It's really needed. We didn't realize how fractured the front office was until after the Bengals game. Now we know. And I really think, even for what I'm guessing, it is a complete guess what's going to happen. I don't think – that's the thing I learned about that press conference. I don't think I have any real feel for how this is going to go.
Well, that's exactly how I'm thinking of it all. So shoot us an email, Andy and Jared at gmail.com. Andy and Jared, Jarid at gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Cleveland and Beyond. On Twitter, it's at CLE and Beyond. We are, of course, brought to you by Waiting for Next Year. Check them out, original Cleveland sports reporting at waitingfornextyear.com. Well, Browns fans, it's been fun. It's been one hell of a season. Happy New Year to everybody. I am absolutely exhausted from all of this shit, and it's going to look like it's going to continue to be that way for the foreseeable future until some things change. Whether that be the call for a change in ownership, which is not going to happen, or we accidentally slip and fall into success. That's what I think we've got ahead of us. Otherwise, it's the same as it ever was. Groundhog Day, however you want to describe it. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson. Andy and Jared, Cleveland and Beyond. Take care. Have a wonderful January. Dry January. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Especially with this Brown stuff.
Gathering data. Oh, yeah. Hey, what do the analytics say about dry January? Take care.